ask Madhura to take on this discussion, which I am so eagerly waiting to hear. So over to you, Madhura.
Thank you so much, Richa. And Sangeeta, I know you and I have been waiting to have this chat for a really, really long time. And suddenly we have a room full of people who are also waiting like us. So it's very, very exciting for me to welcome you to Aspire for Her. Not that I need to welcome you, because this is your own platform. We know that we can always reach out to you for anything that we need. And you have been such a strong pillar of support for all of us, that it gives me immense pleasure, honor, and privilege to welcome you to this platform. Of course, to your wonderful parents, uncle and auntie, thank you for joining us. We are so happy that you're here on Zoom listening to Sangeeta. And of course, to Sudhir, a very, very warm welcome to Aspire for Her. This is the first time that we're meeting virtually, but I do hope that we will continue to keep meeting thanks to the bridge that is being built every day by Sangeeta.
Thank you so much, Madhura, for such a generous and warm welcome and rich. Aspire for Her is such a wonderful platform that you have, and all of us together have, we feel part of it. And it's such a good cause. And, no more you do, you feel there is so much more to do. And hats off to you, Madhura, for your undying enthusiasm. Even at 3 a.m, if I see emails coming from you, I wonder if you ever sleep. So it's such a pleasure to have known you over the years, and really, really appreciate this chat that we are having today.
Thank you so much, Sangeeta. Thank you. Your words mean a lot. And before I do anything else, when I first met Sangeeta, and I think that's more than a year back, just after we had started Aspire for Her, she shared her life's journey with me. And a lot of her life's journey had a very beautiful resonance with what we were trying to do in the middle of COVID. And she actually coined a very beautiful term. I don't know whether she remembers it, but I remembered it all the time. She talked about converting pain to purpose. And Sangeeta, I'd love for you to talk in your own words about your journey to the people here. And, I want them to experience what I experienced on that day when I first spoke to you.
Wow, that's actually quite intense. But, that today when I look back, I'm grateful for whatever I went through. But it is not the case when you're going through it. Because at that point in time, no one can see the silver lining when you go through trauma, when you go through loss of life, when you go through loss of loved ones, when you have your dreams ahead of you and you want to weave so many more stories around it, but everything comes crashing because the universe has a completely different path for you and you are not aware of that at all. So I was very young at that time. I was 22 when I got married, and the first hit that I had was I was not even 24. And then I was less than 26 when I had my second hit. So, when we were as a couple, all excited about having our first child, and then after 6 months of intense treatment, we lost her, and then the second one again. And so it just makes you feel at that point in time, life is unfair. I could never fathom I could smile again in my life. Would I ever laugh again in my life? Would I ever do? I used to be a computer programmer and systems analyst, and for years I blocked computers out of my life and blocked that part of me before I had my children and marriage. It was almost like starting another life in this life. So and you do go through, because that's your coping mechanism, but the pain is so intense. There is at that point in time you just have to compartmentalize it, because you just can't keep going back to it. and you have to move on. You have to, because there are other roles and there are other aspects of life. You can't just be a grieving mother. You have a husband, you have your parents, you have other aspects and social obligations. As much as out of 4 engines, you may be driving out of 1 or 2, but you still have to drag along. Now, as a result, yes, we decided to adopt. We didn't want to have any more, biological children, because the pain was too intense and the fear was also there. So, when you have setbacks, you've got to have fear along with it. And, you go through, you process it, it takes time. Each individual deals with it differently. There's no right or wrong about it. And then there comes a time slowly when you want to actually approach that pain with a little bit of, you want to give it a chance to sort of acknowledge that there is pain. Initially, you want to be in a denial because it's too painful. So then you sort of take a little peek and say, okay, it's there. Then slowly, one by one, it's almost like you've tied so many bandages. You peel off one, you peel another, and you allow. And, you sort of start accepting. There are stages when you accept, then you go back to denial, because again, another deeper layer comes off. And then you sort of somewhere along, you find something that resonates, people who resonate, and you work towards it. And each time you're working towards it, you're healing yourself and you're healing the other person. And you mirror each other. And that's how it becomes, that pain becomes gain, and that pain becomes a purpose. And people ask, you have everything in your life, what ticks you? For me, where I was and where I am, that bridge, like you said, that's what ticks me. I know what it was and I know what it is, and it's super liberating. It's deep joy and happiness, and I think everybody deserves it. So to cut the long story into short, I think everything that we go through, there is a reason for it. And if we can sort of take a back step with a little more trust and faith, then our doubts don't become so humongous. But having said that, when you go through such a big tragedy, it's not so easy. We are all human beings.
I don't know what to say, because I think this is probably the first time that on a platform, somebody has shared their absolutely deepest sorrows, but in this beautiful way. So thank you for sharing, Sangeeta. Thank you for taking us on that journey as well, because I know a lot of people in Aspire for Her, in our Not Alone community, and Richa spoke about that, and you've been very closely associated with them, have also gone through the deepest of pain, the deepest of agony. And you're right, while you're going through it, it just seems that there is no end to this. This is a very dark night, and this dark night is not going to get over. But you have played a role in so many lives like that, where you have actually shown them the light, because somewhere, your pain has sort of helped you become stronger, if I may say that.
Absolutely.
And it has made you into a different person. And that's what I always felt. So tell us a little bit about how you managed to change others around you. And maybe it could be in the context of our Not Alone community, and how you sort of also showed them that light. And today we see that our Not Alone community, all our members are in a much better place. They are mentally stronger. They are able to deal with adversity, and they have transitioned from that utter grief into a place which is lighter. And you played a role in many of their lives. How did you do that? And how do you do that? I find it extremely difficult, and I'm also sharing my own vulnerability here. The minute I see somebody who is in a very deep state of sorrow, I find it very difficult to console them, or I find it very difficult to empathize with them. And that's why what you do is always a source of wonder to me. And that's what I want to ask you. How do you do it? And give us a couple of examples of perhaps, your journey in this space of helping others.
So Madhura, I think the biggest stigma, if I may be forgiven for using that word, that we as a society have created is when someone has a setback. It could be anything, not only death or bereavement. It could be anything that you're working towards. It could be even death of a marriage, or it could be, is the shame, is the guilt. It's the fear of rejection. There are a lot of fears that come with it. What you've lost, but there are so many other judgments that you have to deal with. And I can speak from my own experience that what I lost personally, of course I lost, but there were a lot of other fears within me. The fear of, can I fit in? What would others say that she's the one who couldn't even do this properly? So I think the most important aspect is of self-acceptance. You have to learn to accept your own emotions as precious, as your own valid, justifiable emotions. The problem comes when you suppress them because you feel that they're not justified, they're not valid, and we become our own critics. And sometimes, or maybe a lot of times, we exaggerate those fears because, it's our fear of not being able to do something, our fear of being a failure. So I think if I had to live all over again, or I've written this book, dedicated it to that 24-year-old myself, it's because, it's just trying to reset the mindset of that 24-year-old and so many other 24-year-olds or, a different stage in their lives. And even if not alone, the first thing is the ability to listen. We try to give advice before we even know what the other person is going through. Each person is unique, their situation is unique, and they're wired differently. Some could be very clinical, some could be very objective, some could be super emotional, some could be very low on their self-worth, and this takes another beating on their self-worth. There is no right formula for this. Each person is unique. Our perception to our experiences are unique. And that is why listening is very important for someone else and also for us to listen to what we are going through. So it's a two-way. It's not only others are not listening to me, but it's also, am I really listening to myself? So this process took me through a lot of self-discovery. I did a lot of, I met such wonderful people as well, because when you're on a path, the path reveals itself. You would never have an end goal. If you ask me at that stage, did I know I'll be mentoring? Did I know I'll have this platform? Did I know I'll be an author? No, I didn't. And we don't. So you just take, and sometimes because when we focus so much on the outcome, the fear consumes us. The whole plan takes over our passion. So every day is a new day. The fact that you can wake up, make a cup of tea and drink that cup of tea is huge, and pat yourself for that. And so what happens is we compare ourselves with others. Others tell us, come on, get on. How much are you going to brood, or how much? So I don't think people have the right, while it's a nice way of little bit, sometimes you need to pull up a little bit, but at the same time, the first most important thing is the ability to listen to yourself. And you would then know who are the people you want to talk to, because not everyone will be able to receive what you have to give. It's a sacred space. Your emotions are super sacred. And that is where a lot of resources have been put in Reset Your Mindset. This book is actually my life's journey with myself, with my own emotions, my own experiences, and also with the wonderful mentees and other colleagues that I've worked with. And so I just felt it's unfair to leave something within you and move on. I read this book by Henry Todd, Die Empty. And it was so beautiful that don't take your gifts and your experiences and your skills in the graveyard. Do pass it on. They are not yours. Nothing is ours. Just own it, and that ownership creates the stress. So when I started understanding all of this, that we are conduits and we are helping and we are receiving help, then, you know, the fear also becomes lesser than the faith.
Thank you for that. I loved the phrase die empty. I had not heard it before. And I think this is a wonderful expression which we can all take. And this is what Ruchi is writing here, saying listening is the need of the hour, and we're all speaking more and we need some good listeners. And thank you, Ruchi, for that comment, because I think this captures the essence of what Sangeeta is saying. And thank you, Uncle. You are talking about lack of listening, which creates a lot of misunderstanding. Thank you for that comment as well. So Sangeeta, you know, I was listening to you and I was thinking that each of the interactions that you've had is almost like a chemical reaction, where a Sangeeta comes in touch with a mentee, and then, you know, you try to put yourself in their shoes, but you've also interacted with them in your own unique way. And you know, you mentioned you were a computer programmer earlier, and I noticed that in your book, you've actually used a lot of computer science jargon, whether it is reset your mindset or whether it is program your mind. I was reading the book and I realized that you've tried to bring in technology in this very, you know, ephemeral and this very, very esoteric subject, which is mindset, right? And they don't really go together. So why did you choose to do that? Was it the computer programmer in you who was trying to also sort of sneak in, or what was happening?
It's a fantastic question, Madhura. And the two worlds have to integrate. Then only can we live in our true sense. You know, our mind, body, and soul are not separate. They're all one body. And we are gifted with the rational mind and the intuitive mind. Neither of them we can see, but we are increasingly using more and more of our rational mind. Now, over the years, what I've seen, Madhura, is in order to reach, and this is something Sudhir and I have always spoken, Sudhir, my husband, and I, we've always spoken that if you want to connect with the children, you have to go to their room. Don't expect them to come to your room all the time. Listen to their music. Don't expect them to listen to your music only. So today's technology, today's youth, and all of us inclusive, we are using technology, devices. We know the value of upgrading software. We know that if we don't upgrade, the new apps will not work. We will be left behind. We will be hung. Our things in front of us will crash. Now, if I talk about esoteric subject, everyone's going to run away from me. So you have to make it interesting and give metaphors that they can relate to. So that was and of course, the programmer in me, because when I was designing packages for clients and making programs, it was all about what is it that they want. And so we realized that sometimes the program wouldn't run so effectively in all situations. And then you know that there is even a tiny program that is sabotaging the entire system. So, but this is exactly what it is with us. What is it that we want? You know, and what is it that we are keying in? What is the process? The CPU, what is it processing? What are the programs? Are they all leading us to the life we want? Are we living the life we want? If we are, then that's great. We don't need to do anything. But if we are not, then we have to go to that program by a process of elimination and understanding more that program or few programs that are sabotaging the outcome that we want. And that's when we rewire or upgrade our software or reset. So that's why I thought that let's make it a little more interesting. It's coming from a lot of intuition, but at the same time, we are using, the day-to-day living. So
Thank you. Thank you for explaining that. And, I must, as I was going through the book, I must say that, it intrigued me because the language wasn't that of a normal self-improvement or a self-help kind of a book. In a way, I think, Sangeeta, you sort of also brought in a little bit of an element of malware, malware that sometimes creeps into great computer programs. And you're almost like acting like a cybersecurity expert also over here in a way, where you're protecting, individuals from actually falling prey to something that can sabotage their life and their life's path. That's a cool new thing that I learned when I asked you this question. So
yes,
thank you for that answer. But this takes me back to a conversation that I had with Sangeeta some time back, and I must tell all of you here that whenever at Aspire for Her I am faced with a problem of emotions overpowering, some of our mentees, and Sangeeta is smiling because she knows the many instances that I will come to now. I have one person on my speed dial, and that is Sangeeta. Okay, because I get nervous, I get tense, and I really don't know what to do. And I call Sangeeta. And this was one instance where one of our mentors, who was actually a very, very senior technology leader, in fact, who just came in to me and said, oh, I've got this mentee and I'm trying to help her, but it doesn't look like she needs help on her technology career at all. She needs help in her emotional growth. I'm nervous. I'm not able to do this. And then I told her, look, I'm equally nervous. I'm not able to do this. So there's only one person who I know who to call in this matter. And I called Sangeeta, as I kept doing that across the last few years. And so Sangeeta, when I give you that sort of a situation when all of us are nervous and we're not really able to make up our minds as to what is the right way to do this, you have this innate calmness and this demeanor which somehow then calms down people. And then the next thing I know is that the mentee reaches out to me and says, I am feeling so much better. Okay. And instantly my nervousness also dissipates instantly. So that's the effect that Sangeeta has on all of us. So how do you do this? It's not really very easy to do.
I think, Madhura, the pressure comes when, and this is something I've also learned with wonderful mentors in my life. And I was studying metaphysics in UK, and my clients would come, and many times I would speak to my principal that when she shared her story, it just broke my heart, and I hope I can help her. And the one golden advice she gave me is, when you put pressure on yourself, that I hope I can help her, you are actually going to create a blockage within you, because you're forcing yourself to an outcome, right? And again, it's a theory of obliquity where you don't put an outcome, you just flow. And it's very hard to flow, but then take away that pressure from yourself that you have to fix it for them. And whenever you have so gracefully sent the mentees to me.
Not gracefully, I'm scared and nervous, and panicked.
So I just sit for a minute, meditate, thank the universe for giving me this opportunity to reach out to somebody to make a difference. And I just surrender myself that please guide me to her best, outcome. I am not judging or throwing my mental outcome on her. So that has helped me, because when that pressure is not there on me that I have to fix it, then I am just listening to her and to my own intuition. And somehow then that sort of works magically, and we are able to find tools that would immediately help. And I think, like I would go back to the same thing, just listening without projecting what should be done. So even before, most times people, even before they meet, they like, we want her to behave in this fashion. I think that's what, over the years, the maturity that has developed through the work that I've done, and again, grace of the Almighty, that just let it be and don't project, just allow. And I think I'm myself surprised, and I'm very grateful to have these mentees who give me this beautiful feedback that after one session changed their life. Because honestly, I just, it makes me very humble and grateful.
I'm going to take a leaf out of your book, and I'm going to take a minute and meditate and thank all the people in your life who give you that space to become the person that you are. So I really want to thank Uncle and Auntie and Sudhir for being in your life and for giving us the wonderful gift of Sangeeta to aspire for her, and maybe keep bothering you and hassling you and giving you the most difficult, problems, which you always take with a smile, and somehow you have a miraculous way of just sorting them out. So thank you for being that.
Thank you, Madhura. But I would also like to share a story that is coming very strong in my head, if I may. I don't know how we are doing with the time. Before we do the meditation, am I permitted a few minutes?
Of course.
So when I was in London, and at that point in time, I was spending more time with the family, and my first book had been released. And we were invited to this private event of the scientist Stephen Hawking. And all the people there were from Oxford and Cambridge, as you can appreciate. And one of the gentlemen, who happens to be my husband's, associate, he knew, he had a lot of respect for Sudhir. He actually asked me for a copy of my first book, and then he invited us for a meal. And he said to me that, first I thought your book was, I'll be very honest, it was on my bedside for the longest time, because he's an intellectual man. I mean, there were deans of Cambridge and Oxford University, and he's himself from Cambridge University. And then I opened it and I was gobsmacked, and I read the entire book. It's all about my metaphysical experiences, my first book. It's a memoir. And I would like to invite you to speak at our book club, which is basically all Oxford and Cambridge University professors and deans. And Madhura, it freaked me out big time. I'm talking about 7-8 years ago. And I looked at him and I felt my anxiety, because my instant reaction was to compare myself with all the intellectuals and the intelligentsia class. And the reason why I'm sharing is because I know there are a lot of returning women who are coming back, and also there are many other wonderful people who are looking at finding opportunities. The mistake, or I would not call anything a mistake, it's a process of evolution. At that point in time, what I did is I immediately compared myself with the intellectual level of the Oxford and the Cambridge and the top, that sort of league. And what he was seeing in me was not that. They didn't want another intellectual person in their group. They wanted someone different, who brings a different perspective. But at that point in time, my fear gripped me so much that I started wishing that I hope that we travel somewhere. I hope we move away from London, which we eventually did because my wish manifested. And I just hope he never invites me, because, oh my God, how will I stand in front of all these people who create the thesis and everything that you can think about. But one lesson that came out of this is we all have our uniqueness, and if we hold on to that uniqueness and believe in that, then no matter what, you will go to an organization, you will go to situations where there'll be people who you would find overwhelming. But remember, your strength, people see you for your strength and they acknowledge you for your strength. And that's what I wanted to share with everyone today.
That is so beautiful. Thank you. But I'm taking away only one thing from here, which is, today Aspire for Her joins the leagues of Oxford and Cambridge. So in a very unsangita-like manner, I will take a moment to feel good about that. And we are also having you in our book club, Sangeeta. So we are very, very privileged to be compared to the best institutions in the world. So thank you. Thank you for that. I know that we do want to do a little bit of a meditation and a sort of a beautiful end to the conversation that we're having, but I do have a couple of more questions for you, and I'm sure that the audience here is also really wanting to ask you some questions, so we do want to spend some time on that as well. I just wanted to ask you about your relationship with money, because you have mentioned money and wealth in very different ways in Reset the Mindset. And I am sort of, intrigued in the way in which you got money into the conversation. Is it that, people can afford to talk about money only at a certain stage in life and they have lots of it? Or how would you like our members and all the people who are here to deal with the concept of money and the concept of wealth? You've talked about health and wealth. You've talked about lots of interesting things around money. So I just want to ask you that question.
So, no, it is true. It's very easy for someone who is in a very comfortable position to say that, there's more to life than money, and a person who has to meet two ends and has all these other responsibilities has a different take on money. But with all humility, my whole point of bringing out money is because it is considered as a symbol of power, and we lose relationships, we lose our health, we lose our peace, we lose our sanity, we lose our happiness, we lose everything. In today's day and age, it has become so sad how we are becoming alone because we are chasing money. And His Holiness Dalai Lama, he said that humans, they run after everything for money, even compromise their health, their peace, their happiness for money. And in the end, when they get the money, they spend all of that money to fix their health, to fix their happiness, to fix their relationships, to fix everything. So I think it's important to take it in the right perspective. Of course, you need money. Money is a form of energy, but it's also important to have a space for your dreams, for your aspirations, for the society that you're in, for your friendship, for other aspects of life. So when we take everything in balance, and that's where in the first chapter, Wisdom is the New Rich, I bring out how did money even originate? It was more for a barter and more for sort of ease. But now money has become a dis-ease, if I may take the liberty, or, seriously, because it's such an uncomfortable point of conversation. Deals break for money, relationships break for money, and the anxiety, the panic, the stress. So if you can take it in sort of a healthier fashion, if you can build your relationship with money in a healthy approach, that you need it, to fulfill your daily needs, your, educating your children or educating yourself and looking after your family. And after the needs, how much of greed do I want to run after? It's the balance, Madhura. So that's what it is. And I think it is an individual responsibility that once we can afford the important aspects of our life, then we have to bring that conscientious nature of helping others. It's like we are all tenants on this planet Earth. We have to pay rent. We just can't take it all. And then that's when the anxiety of losing it comes in. So I think it's all about awareness. It's all about, and when you know that, yes, I have enough money, then there is a peace that comes with it. But when you think I don't have enough, I have a car, but I don't have a plane, or I don't have, I have a cycle and I don't have a scooter, it's all a comparison. It's all very relative. So that's where I'll rest my case. And I think I've made it, sort of each to their own, how much they wish to earn and yearn.
All of us have to pay rent, and that's one of the quotes that I will remember, Sangeeta. But you have used a lot of quotes in your book, and I promise this is going to be really my last two questions. I see a lot of folks, the chat box is filling up with questions, so I'm going to get beaten up if I ask too many more questions from my side. But this one I really wanted to know. You've used a lot of quotes, right from Rumi to more contemporary writers, to business leaders in your book. Which is your favorite quote, and which one would you like to live by? If in Reset Your Mindset, you had to choose one.
I love the Rumi one, of course, that when you walk on the path appears. It is very deep, and it helps you take that one step at a time. But they're all wonderful quotes, wonderful people. I wish I could just fill the book with quotes. There's so many wonderful people who directly, indirectly helped me through this journey. By reading the books, by attending workshops, by talking to wonderful people. I mean, I have this inspiring icons insights in which Madhura, you came in as well, and each icon shared 5 insights and 2 regrets. You keep learning. Life and experience teaches you the best. So there are to pinpoint just one is very hard, but I would just say one step at a time. That's it.
That's such a lovely space to bring a normal pause to this conversation, because there are so many questions coming in. So we'll start taking some of them. And Richa, would you also like to take some of the questions and sort of start asking? I will get started. I will probably ask the first one. I'm seeing a whole lot of people thanking us. Please don't thank me. Please thank Sangeeta, because she was the one who was giving you the wonderful and thoughtful session, Sandhya. I am equally grateful to her for having made the time for this. Nisha asks you, how living in multiple countries influenced you with your writing this book? So maybe we'll start with that question.
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. I think being exposed to so many countries, so many cultures, so many ways of living, thinking, opens your horizon. Mindset is all about horizon. It's all about how much are you willing to open. When you set your mind, it becomes a mindset. So the more and more you allow fresh air, fresh energy, fresh perspective, the more you see possibilities. And for me, I think I've been very fortunate that I've traveled over more than over 55 to 60 countries already, and lived in more than 6 countries. And thanks to my husband for that. And we've, seriously, and otherwise, and then you create your own global community, because people who who have this international exposure, their mindset changes. You know that, oh, they've traveled. So now the modern way is don't spend on assets, spend on experiences, seriously.
Thank you for that answer. I would rather say that the countries were also equally benefited by you, I think, as opposed to you being benefited by the countries.
You're very kind and generous, Madhura.
I see that Sonia has also come in. So Sonia runs our book club here, and she was on the road today. So we were all, filling in. Richa was filling in for her. And Richa, you want to come in here and start asking some of the questions that we're seeing light up the chat boxes here?
Yes, yes. So there's this very interesting question here, Sangeeta. How can I balance or even try to return to work with a differently able teenager at home? Any guidance, please, as I'm in this situation?
Wow. Obviously, the support system that you would need to look after the child is something you would have to make sure, it's covered. But for me, every time I have taken on a challenge, I've had an image to anchor me. Because whatever you take, there will be huge challenges, especially when you're going out of your comfort zone. And unless you have an image that inspires and motivates you to go through it, the doubts become stronger than the motivation. So for me, I have always looked at my children and that I want to inspire them. I want them to feel that our mother has taught us this, our mother has done this despite all of that. And that image has always worked. There have been times when I've wanted to give up because self-transformation is not an easy journey. You have to face your demons. You have to face your vulnerabilities. There are times when you want to give up, but then that image holds you. So what is speaking to me is that this beautiful gift of yours that you have. I've worked with special needs for a year or 2 years here in UAE. And honestly, I have interacted with the parents. I used to do workshops for them as well. And there is such a gift in that, such a learning and strength and room for your own growth. Just keep that image of your beautiful gift with you, that you're doing it for him or her. And, no matter what challenges you face, and you will face, everybody faces it, and you have an extra challenge. I always say a high school student is not going to get 2 + 2. So the more evolved and the more challenges you can handle, the universe gives you with, stronger and more challenges. So it's not life is unfair, it's that you can handle more and you are meant to grow more and help and reach out more. So have that image, in your space. So whenever anything comes and you feel like giving up, just that will not let you give up. And I would love to speak to you anytime, one-on-one, whenever you would want to. I'm there. Madhura, please, whenever you think, if she needs to speak, I'll be grateful to share whatever I can.
I think that's the beauty of our mentors at Aspire for Her. And I know a lot of you mentioned mentors, and my colleagues have written to you to say that, you can reach out to any of us, to just reach out to any of our mentors, Sangeeta, and any of our mentors for anything that you feel that you need some kind of insight on, some kind of guidance on. So, but back to you, Richa. There are lots
Madhura,
of
there's a very interesting question, Sangeeta. There's a question. Even if we take one step at a time, we get stuck. We lose hope to return to work. How to reset the mindset? A very fundamental and I think important question.
Yes, it's true. which is why I have a section of resources in the book. I start off with that because these are tools that will enable us to flow from that stuck feeling. While the going is good, we get appreciation, it's great. One criticism, and it's very easy for our sensitivity to get, blocked. So we are all artists in many ways, and our creative juices, they get, stuck or blocked, like you hear of artists block. And so these are the resources that we have to constantly keep, just like we breathe. We have to keep eating food. We can't say, okay, we've eaten, now we don't need it for 10 days. It's that sort of discipline we have to incorporate. Initially, it would be a task, then it becomes part of your life. So anytime you are in a situation where you feel anxiety has taken up, I have a breath meditation, and I have a glass of water here that I have kept on sipping, and I've mentioned drinking water mindfully. So if you are in a meeting and suddenly something happens and you start feeling the anxiety happening, you can't walk out of the meeting. You still have to deal with it. But what you can start doing is taking your focus away from the anxiety by focusing on something else. So I'm not saying dismiss it. I'm just saying take a little pause. Start focusing on the act of drinking the water slowly, mindfully, focusing on the temperature of the water, how it is, integrating with you. And now come back to that discussion. You will see that the impact has been already diluted, the impact of the anxiety. I work with many people where I say, okay, this is a cotton ball. It's come right here and you can't see anything else. It's blocked your vision. So we just move it away a little bit. It doesn't mean we are not attending to it. It's just that now we can see it better. So look at things on the whole. So when the anxiety takes over, that how will I do? For example, if I am talking in front of 1,000 people, what if an odd question comes? What if things go wrong? What if nobody turns up? Those questions are natural. We're all human beings. So all those fears, of course, I feel that they are messengers too. So take the silver lining. So what does it say? What if they ask questions? You prepare yourself to your best ability. But if something comes out of what of your comfort zone, then allow it to move out a little bit, distance from you a little bit, and look at it. Because when fears come, fears block us. And when they block us, then we cannot flow. So the only way is distance it a little bit, but don't throw it away. You have to deal with it. Life is to be dealt with. So I hope, and there are exercises. So I hope that you will go through the book and go through, and that's why each chapter, each mindset is like 3 to 4, 5 pages, because nowadays people don't have the time or the bandwidth to read long chapters. And it's very action oriented. Why do we have this mindset? How can we change it? What are the benefits of having this new mindset short, or as Madhura coined it today, mindset mantra? And so it takes you through a whole process, which is very, a structured process. So, and these are affirmations that at the end of every mindset I have. Think positively when that fear comes, oh, you can't do it, or you know what, you're going to fail at it. Okay, I'm comfortable at not knowing everything. I'm okay. I can handle it. It's okay. I cannot know everything, and it's okay. I accept myself for not knowing everything. And once we say that, we can handle a situation a lot better.
That really gave me a lot of things to think about as well. And I see Sapna here and Suguna here talking about wanting to talk to you. And, Sevashri Mahapatra, a huge shout out to you. Thank you for introducing us to Sangeeta. And she says a beautiful line here: the road begins when you start the journey. Don't give up. a slight paraphrase of, I think, the popular Amitabh Bachchan line that where I stand, the ride starts. But this, I believe it has a slightly different connotation. Thank you, Devashri, for giving us that. Thank you. We have a question. Richa, do you want to take the next question?
So yeah, there's a very interesting question by Bhumika. And she asked how to overcome the habit of being inconsistent. I think in bits and pieces, all of us have that problem, so how to fix it?
Yeah. It really depends on what do you mean by inconsistent. Sometimes we do many things. What is the source of our? I think the most important question we need to ask ourselves is, why are we even doing what we are doing? Is it because we want to do it? Or is it because we are pressurized by others to do it? And typically when we take something on as a pressure that, oh, maybe we'll get sort of more acceptance or more likes or more appreciation or more, so then that doesn't live for too long, because it's not self-nurtured. It's not something that we from our heart are wanting it. It's like fitting a garlic clove in an orange. They have similar shape. So really, while we can explore different things, and we know the reason why we are doing it is to explore, and it's okay to choose what really resonated with us. But I think increasingly, as I sort of see my old days, earlier days, past experiences, many things we just rush to do because we see others doing and wow, that was so amazing, and then we later on feel it's not something I would resonate with.
I think we're coming to the end of
Yes.
Our time with Sangeeta, and Yogita is feeling very confident and strong after listening to you. Vinita, thank you for your wonderful comment. And last but not the least, Auntie and Uncle, your presence here meant the world to us. It is so wonderful to have you here with all of us. Thank you just from the bottom of all our hearts for being here today. Of course, thank you to Sudhir. Sangeeta, would you like to end the session with a little meditation so that we can be a little better prepared to walk out of this Zoom room and to face the world?
Absolutely, I would love to do that. I would love to share this meditation called breath meditation that I've also shared in the book. And it is basically to connect with our breath, our prana, our force that keeps us alive. It not only helps us to acknowledge the reason why we are alive, it also brings us to an element of gratitude, of thanking something that is keeping us alive unconditionally without us ever thanking it, without us ever noticing it, without us ever appreciating it. So without breath, we would not be able to do the wonderful things that we do. And when we get anxious and fearful, our breath gets constricted. So let me bring you to your breath. If we can all please close our eyes and bring our focus and awareness to our lungs, to our breath that works non-stop, without a pause, without a break, to facilitate the beautiful journey of life that we are all living. I'd like you to inhale consciously at the count of 3. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. A short pause and exhale. What we're going to try is inhale at a count of 3, pause at a count of 2, and exhale at the count of 4. Inhale, pause, exhale. Each time you breathe in, observe the quality of the air, whether it's cold, warm. How do you feel as you take the breath in from your nose, going all the way to your lungs, stomach? And as you exhale, how do you feel? Each time you exhale, just let go. Exhale all the stress, the tightness of your body. Whatever fear and anxiety you're holding on your shoulders, on your neck, that has become tight, just let it go. Inhale with the gratitude and appreciation for our body to keep us going, for our breath. Pause and exhale. If there are any thoughts that come, just observe them like passers-by and come back to your breath at your own pace. Take 3 more breaths. Inhale, pause, exhale. Feeling grateful for this journey and the emotions and the breath work. And when you're done, bring your awareness to your body, to your hands, and rub your palms to create some heat and place them on your eyes and the rest of your body. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Sorry, I can't hear you, Madhura.
After this, we can't say anything more, Thank you so much for this, Sangeeta. And I request all of you to put a little heart on the top right-hand corner of your screen, just to say thank you.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you, Madhura. Thank you for the beautiful energy, and thank you for the wonderful people and wonderful questions, and giving me this opportunity to speak to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.